But going back to what we were saying, like, God does not call the equipped, he equips the called. And I know that's super cliche, but it's 100% true. And I've seen it time and time again in my own life, right? Like this job that I've got now, zero experience walking into the interview, none. Like day one, I think my boss was like maybe rethinking hiring me because we went to a location. He's like, okay, this is a wellhead. You probably know all this equipment. I'm like, no, I was immediately like, no, dude, I don't know what any of this stuff is. Like, it didn't matter. I knew that, okay, if this was God's plan, I'm going to at least be moderately successful in some form, right?
The In Creation podcast is brought to you by QAD, Quality Archery Designs.
If you want to talk about a partnership that is rooted in faith, this is one. QAD is on mission for God. And it was one of the first upgrades that I ever made to the first bow that I had. I got the HDX, and now I'm rocking the MX2 on both of my bows.
I've been bow hunting for the last 8 years, and 6 of the last 8 years, I've had a QAD arrow rest on my bow. So if you want equipment that is proven to work in the field, we trust Team QAD. All right, In Creation Podcast, episode 19, where we talk all things Christ and our obsession for bow hunting and archery.
Hey guys, we want to thank you so much for joining us and tuning in. Make sure you subscribe, follow, whatever platform you're listening on. Leave us a comment or a review. We want to get this podcast out to more believers, outdoorsmen, just to be an encouragement, right? And help spread the gospel of Jesus Christ. And Ryker, if they've got any other questions about that, what do they need to do?
Yeah, you guys need to text True Life to 97,000. You're going to receive a text link. You click on that link, it's going to give you more resources about the gospel in your hands.
Heck yeah. Well, it's just us today, but we are in person, so I can shift my gaze from the camera and I can actually look at you. Kind of a first time for this. We'll see how it goes. But there won't be an audio lag, which is nice.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. We'll see if this crashes and burns. I don't know how it's going to work. This is kind of our makeshift in-person deal here with our camera setup, but hopefully it goes well. And
Heck yeah. Well, what are we talking about today?
yeah, well, we're going to talk a little bit about arrow setups and talking about the Arrow Ballistics Study and kind of what we're thinking about and what we're taking from the study. And we're going to transition that into the word, just talk about, being equipped to preach the gospel and kind of what that looks like and what it looks like being called and being, going through that sanctification process to where maybe you weren't equipped beforehand, but God just calls you to do things, and that as you grow in him and as you walk, he just equips you, and you just be faithful to the Lord and preach his word.
So arrow builds, what are some things that you're thinking?
Man, so after I'm taking a lot from the Arrow Ballistics Study. I know I've heard this before. People want to do their own testing, and which I agree. Like, go out there and do your own testing, like check it out. But also, I think that there's a lot to be said in this study as far as like this from a hunting arrow side. You're not going to find more specific data that this study is producing, right? And so there's veins that they didn't use or didn't test and stuff like that. So by all means, like go do it. Like the 3X veins from boning are ones that I'm intrigued in using, and they didn't use this.
So I feel like they do a good job of providing a well-rounded base to where, you can go find a similar vein to one that they've used, right? So maybe they didn't, what was it, the X vein you said?
Yeah, the 3X vein is a little stiffer material or whatever.
Yeah, so like you can probably find a vein that was used in the study that's very similar to that X vein, right? Yeah. And it's in theory, it should perform very, very similarly.
Yeah.
And talking about like, obviously people should do their own testing, right? But I think the study and the data that they bring to the table just kind of, I don't know, shortens that learning curve a little bit, right? Like you don't have to start from zero or from scratch. You can be like, okay, well, you know, based off of the data that they presented, I know that I don't want to use these arrows, or I don't want to use these broadheads, or this insert, whatever it is, vanes. I want to stick with maybe these 4 or 5, right? And maybe I kind of just keep looking into a few of those different things and figure out what my preference is and what I want it to do. Because at the end of the day, you have to look at your application, right? We are Midwest whitetail hunters, Texas public land whitetail hunter, right? Like we're not hunting moose up in the Yukon, right? So that's going to be a completely different thing. We're not hunting any animals out on the plains, right? I had a conversation with somebody recently, and they were like, I am a 4 mil guy. I think it was an antelope hunt. I can't remember what state, but he was like, I'm a 4 mil guy because I had an antelope hunt and the wind screwed me when I had a 5 mil. And it's like when you have that in like real in-person data, like your active hunting data, use that. Like, don't ignore it. And so he's like, I have to use a 4 mil because I'm not going to make a mistake like that again. It cost me. So what were some of the big takeaways that you had? Because honestly, I haven't looked into it a ton. The one thing I kind of mentioned before we started recording, the one thing that I do know from this year's Arrow Ballistics Study was the FOC thing, right? More FOC equals tighter groups, right? But not necessarily just like throw all the weight up at the front. It's more like, if I remember correctly, higher FOC was correlated with tighter groups, but lighter broadhead or point weight was correlated with tighter groups. So it's kind of like put that weight in the insert, not the point. So what are some other things that you took away?
Yeah, well, that was one for sure too, because you always hear put the weight in the broadhead. Like that's what I've heard. Every video I've watched talking about arrow setups, you want to put the weight up front, put it on the broadhead.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
which makes sense.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's the thing that's doing the job. Right. So it's like, yeah, I want to put the weight there, and it's the furthest point out front. I've looked at it almost from a durability standpoint. Like more mass in the broadhead probably means more materials, which to me equals more durable broadhead.
Yeah.
But in this case, when we're talking groups and forgiveness, it seems lighter broadhead is better.
Yeah. No, and that, so I was shocked about that. That's definitely one of the things that I took away from it. But it definitely, when he was summing up just the study in general, it was, we're going to lighter weight GPI shaft.
Yep.
And we're putting more weight in the insert. And so one of the things that he said was like, don't just go throw a bunch of weight up front and make this heavy arrow, because then you also want to take into account the trajectory of the arrow, right? You don't want a huge launching arrow, and
you don't want a rainbow going.
Yeah, exactly. And for us too, like, I don't know, you take this and apply it to what you're hunting, like you were just talking about. Like you said, we're deer hunters. Like, so if you want to grab an FMJ and just throw a bunch of weight up front because you're shooting deer at 20 30 yards, then do it. Like, but next year we're planning this trip to South Dakota. We're going to be chasing antelope.
Yep.
And so I'm definitely going to want something, reach out there. It's fast, has a not a crazy trajectory. But yeah, so lighter GPI shaft and more FOC up front. Put it in the insert because it's supposed to help with the trajectory, is what it was saying. And finding creative ways to increase the FOC, but kind of lighten up the arrow shaft a little bit. And so he went, what I was shocked about is, so he said, I'm going from a 4 mil, which was, he was shooting the Parallel Pro, to the Easton 5.0. Correct. And so I think the Parallel Pro's 9.5 GPI, and that's in a 300 spine.
Yeah. Okay.
And the 5.0 in a 300 spine is 8.4 GPI. And so when I'm thinking about all this, and I'm going back for the one arrows I'm going to use this year too. I mean, where Kool-Aid has the Angulabis, which those are the 5 mil, they're 8 GPI. Yeah, 8 grain flat. So like it's a lighter shaft.
And you get the weave.
Yep, you get the
3K weave.
3K. That's what I was just gonna say. I don't know if it's the 1 or 3. It's a 3K weave. And so I put in all my stuff in the FOC calculator, trying to figure out like what the weight's gonna be and stuff. Right now, the arrow I was previously shooting is 444 grains with 15% FOC, or maybe just above that. If I shoot the Angulabis and I bump up the insert weight from 50 to 75.
We're using a hit?
Yeah, I'm using hit inserts. That would bring it to right around 453. And I'm flinging 444 right now at 310 FPS. So I don't think I'm going to lose. I'll still be above 300 for sure. That would bring it to like just over 17% FOC.
Okay.
I'm going to run the same vein setup. I bought all these lighted nocks. I want to shoot the lighted nocks. That's mainly the reason why I'm thinking about sticking with a 5mm and shooting the Angulabis. But man, when you look at the data and you start really looking at Kool-Aid's arrows, the Inyatis, I don't know how you just aren't drawn to that shaft, dude, because you get the best of everything. Like it's 7-8 GPI and 300 spine.
Okay, so lighter than the 5mm.
Yeah, and the 5.0 or and whatever. You can throw that weight up front, okay? And I can't remember what all the measurements and stuff were, in my FOC calculator. I was putting everything in for the Inyatis, but man, I think it was like 428 with 18-19% FOC. Like, dude, yeah, that's gonna, to me, if FOC equals tighter groups, but you want a flat trajectory arrow and you want to be strategic on how to lighten it up, I look at the Inyati and I'm like, next year, South Dakota, those will be in my quiver.
Yeah. I'm really considering moving to a 4mm. And I'm really torn on the Inyati. You got super light GPI. I mean, like 7.8 is insane.
Yeah.
In a 4mm, that's absolutely ridiculous. But then I'm like, okay, if I remember correctly, those don't have a weave. I can't remember the term that's used on the description, but not the weave. The Imphizes, also 4mm, 1K weave, 8.8 GPI, 8.8 GPI. So still probably, we can't say it's the lightest 4mm because that's the Inyati. But from what we were looking at, I mean, even some of the new 4mm that just came out, like I think 8.8 is still considerably lighter. So it's like, okay, do you go with that? Yes, it's a little bit heavier GPI, but you get that solid durability from that 1K centrifugal weave. So I've still got a decision to make there, but I think I'm pretty much sold. I'm going 4mm. I need to figure out what I want to do up front. I actually haven't even looked at the components that come with the Kool-Aid arrows, but I'm like, I've used the Easton match grade half outs I guess I used them last year, and the year before that I used the brass hit with the collar, with the match grade collars. But I really liked those match grade half outs last year. They just seem really solid construction. They're available in the 4mm. If I came down on my broadhead to 100 grains, I usually shoot 125 broadheads. If I came down to 100, if I came down to 100 there, I was shooting a 75 grain half out. I can just add that 25 to it and shoot, I think it's 100 grain steel, if I remember correctly, half out. That gives me that full 200 that I had up front previously. I don't even know what that would be FOC wise. It's got to be pushing, because you also consider I'm shooting 27-inch draw. So my arrows are cut at like 26 inches. They're 26 inches, like carbon to carbon. They are, and I could probably take a little bit more off of that as well. if I really wanted to. I think I talked about it on the podcast, ran into an issue. I cut my 5.0s from last year, like literally drew back and had Shauna mark on them like 1/8 of an inch in front of my rest at full draw. And it ended up coming back and biting me in the butt a little bit, because then if you put a little bit more pressure on that back wall, basically that insert would ride up on the rest. So I'll give myself probably 1/4 inch of play up front. But I mean, like, those are going to have some good FOC. They're going to be pretty lightweight. I would imagine still sub 450, which that's kind of the area that I like to land. Probably 425 to 450. It's kind of like, if I can land somewhere in there, that's going to be the sweet spot for me.
Yeah.
It's going to give me good trajectory, but I also know I can pretty much, with the weight that we're shooting, like draw weight that we're shooting, we're most likely zipping through anything that we are shooting at. Like, I would argue, I would really need to think about broadhead selection, but I would say those are zipping through an elk. You know what I mean? Like, with the FOC and the energy that's impacting, I mean, I might be able to put a mechanical through an elk. I don't know. No, I just think I have a lot of confidence in that setup. You know? So we'll see how it goes. I'm still undecided on the lighted nocks. We talked about it yesterday. Just the inconsistency. So if somebody would come out with a better lighted nock, that'd be great.
Yeah.
We've heard something, but just haven't seen anything. So if they could hurry up with that, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, that'd be sweet.
But I like the lighted nock mostly because I'm the kind of person, I freak out. No. When a critter's in front of me and like I've registered like I'm going to fling an arrow at that thing, dude, I have to work super hard to be like, okay, come back, relax, take a breath. And like, even then, like last year on that heartbreak buck, just absolutely crapped. And like, honestly, it was a great shot.
Yeah.
Just it broke good. My pin was dead on. I just, essentially used the wrong pin.
Yeah.
It was the right pin, but it was the wrong pin. He was a lot closer than I thought, so just shot over him. But like that, but it took me a while to like, hey, okay, relax. So I like having the lighted nock on there so that I can see where it went.
Yeah.
Because there's a good chance without a lighted nock, I'm going to be like, have no idea. I don't know if I hit him. I don't know where I hit him. I just shot. I shot and I heard something, like that's what it's going to end up being. So having that, indicator basically of like, okay, this is where I think, because there's also like people who shoot lighted nocks, you still lose track of it. Like, this is where I think it hit him. And then you get up on the deer and you're like, well, I was nowhere near where I hit him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was actually just listening to something recently. It might have been on the Hunter podcast, where they basically surveyed hunters. It was basically like a blind test where the person was like, shot 50 animals, and before recovering and before analyzing the video would be like, this is where I think I hit him. And like not every single time, but like more than 50% of the time, wrong.
Yeah, way wrong.
Yeah. So it's like, okay. And this dude's killing clearly a lot of animals. So the dude's experienced and he's still getting it wrong. So someone like me who has not killed a lot of animals, there's a good chance I'm probably getting it wrong. So that lighted nock helps me just at least a little bit to see, okay, where did I impact? So we'll see how that goes. For your arrows, like, okay, you're thinking Ngulabi for now, right? 5 mil. You got that set up. You got your veins, maybe some lighted nocks. What are you doing, like, as far as preparation, tuning wise?
So basically, I think I said this on one of our last episodes. TAC exposed me. I tuned my bow through like a pretty extensive process, like right at the beginning of the year, right around turkey season.
Right.
And it was, flinging darts, man. It was awesome. And then I don't know, wasn't shooting as much. And I had some string stretch, but I mean, I was shooting once a week in our league. You know, you got 20 targets out there, and so I do stuff like tighten it up. But I mean, we're in Michigan; it's pretty flat. It's not, you know, you're not getting any angles or anything like that. So after a while, I don't know if just my rest got bumped or if just, you know, having it in the case and kind of just like sitting in the back seat or whatever, maybe something else bumped it or whatever. And we had to move some stuff around too, in the house, and my bow was one of them. So just kind of pushing in the corner might have just knocked something a little loose. So basically right now, I took it out and I shot a bare shaft compared to my fletch shaft to kind of see what's up with that. And I like, when I shoot a bare shaft, I want my arrow to be coming out of my bow perfectly straight. Like I don't pay too much attention to where it hits. I mean, I don't want it crazy far off.
But if you're within, I don't know, a 1.5, 2-inch circle.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Like on a high roller, the dot on a high roller.
Yeah.
Or on a block target or something like that.
For sure.
Yeah.
But if my arrow's, you know, angled weird or whatever, I switch my rest or whatever to try to get it straight and to just micro tune that. And that's what I did at the beginning of the year. And man, I shot it and I'm like pretty good knock right. And I was like, okay, well, let's figure this out, because I switched my top hats too. So I got the lift. All the new bows have the limb shift and all this cool tuning features.
Yeah,
I don't have that.
You're behind.
Yeah, I'm behind the times. Okay, and so I bought the podium top hats to have the micro adjust top hats or whatever. And so I did that at the beginning of the year. Well, now I had a suspicion that maybe I threw in some and threw the cam a little bit too far to the left, but I shot it through paper, was fine at the beginning of the year. Like I said, shot bare shaft, got it tuned up. It was shooting awesome. But now after trying to adjust with that bare shaft just a few weeks ago, I had to move my rest a significant amount to the left. I don't have any more windage. Like I got my micro adjust still, but I have no more windage on the actual
the course adjust. Yeah,
to move it farther left. So I was like, this is just not gonna work. So I'm gonna go back to the drawing board. We're switching out the top hats, and then man, after that, just trying to center up the rest again and get that bare shaft shooting straight. That's probably number one for me. I mean, because as long as I know that the bow is timed and I got that bare shaft shooting straight, like I can throw on stabilizers and then get all the balancing figured out. But those are like the two big things for me, because after I did it the first time and I saw how well the bow was shooting, I'll have a hard time ever thinking like, okay, I don't like, it's going to mean a lot to me to have that bare shaft coming out straight out of the bow. You know what I mean? So that's basically what we're going to do. So after we do that, we'll throw on the stabilizers and make sure everything's, you know, balanced out, but then just shoot, man. Like at that point, and I think for me, because last year was brutal. So as far as take away like bow sit, I'm like also what I'm doing to prep for hunting season, or kind of like what I hope to do, and you know, just working around my schedule and stuff, is the last few years I've shot a doe relatively early in the season. I almost feel like that is an important thing for me, because one, I eat the meat. Like I love it. That's primarily what we eat. So like meat in the freezer, awesome. Beginning of the year, make sure you knock it down a doe. But I also think it's just like Dan Staton says, the reps in the red zone.
It's like a good warm up.
Yeah, I think I need that before I get that encounter with a nice buck, because last year I did not do that. I had the biggest buck that I ever shot to date come in front of me, and I made a decent shot.
Yeah.
Like I hit him a little bit forward, which he ducked and spun. So I almost think too, this like I stopped him, but I wasn't like, Murr. I was so excited, dude, and I was just like, Murr! and so I think he already was like pretty alert when I shot at him. But nonetheless, man, it was just like I feel like getting that rep in the red zone, the early season, taking down a doe is huge for me. So like obviously I can't do that right now, but I like to get familiar with what I'm using. So like I'll get up in a tree in my saddle and just take reps and visualize that deer walking in and kind of just waiting. Maybe I'll get to full draw and kind of just wait for a minute, like till like a deer gets broadside, and do a little bit of visualization, and then,
well,
try
now
to
you're
execute
practicing
a
a hold too.
Yeah.
Right. Like, because that buck comes in, you might have one opportunity to draw back, but it's not necessarily the opportunity to shoot.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, okay, get drawn back. You might be holding for a minute or so on that doe. And like, I hate when people talk about does like they're just scraps and whatever, like screw does. That's all I've shot. So I love does. I'm actually a trophy doe hunter. But like it is just a doe. Like last year you kind of had like you had a target buck, right, that you were chasing. And so like if something slips up in that moment, you bang your bow off of something, or you draw back at the wrong moment and he saw you, right? Like you get those little things, kind of like those screws tightened up on a doe where there's not as much maybe emotional tie, psychological tie to it. Like if she sees you and she runs off, it's like, that sucks. Now I know, don't do that. Whereas with a target buck, that's like, this might be my only opportunity to get this buck because he's going to go off on the neighbors or run 5 miles away and I'll never see him again for the rest of the season. That'd be heartbreaking if it was like you hit something, you elbow the tree behind you and now he sees, it's like, okay.
Yeah, that's dumb. No, and that's how the whole year was for me last year, man. So like it just, that's the kind of stuff that happened. And with does too, it's also, you get them jitters out of the way early too. So like the last few years, I haven't had a problem with like buck fever in the moment of shooting the deer. Like for me, it was the In Creation podcast is brought to you by Kool-Aid Archery.
Man, this feels so good. We had Bo on the podcast not long ago, and I've been shooting these Ngulubi 5mm arrows for about 2 months now at this point, and I've been absolutely impressed with them. Running about 8 GPI and a 300 spine, which is really impressive. I've got a 50 grain steel insert here that comes with it, and it also comes with this 25 grain collar that you can throw up on the top of it. Like I said, incredibly impressed.
Yeah, the 1K and the 3K centrifugal weave just really gives that shaft the durability. And make sure you go check out their whole lineup at KoolAidArchery.com. And if you want a little bit of a discount, check out the link in the description below. Last few years, shoot the deer, put it up, and then the shakes come. You know what I mean? Like that's how it's always been. And last year, I don't know if it was because I hyped up the moment so much, like because I had my target buck for the first time, like first time in my life. I had a deer, had him patterned. I'm like, I know I can go in and kill this deer. And I haven't shot anything, haven't pulled back on a deer the whole year. And he comes in, man, and it's like, and I didn't have a problem like drawing. It was just, I remember like 2 years ago, the buck I shot, like I sat here and watched him for a long time, and he ended up being a 5.5-year-old deer. Like wasn't massive antler wise, but he was an old deer, dude. Like for me, I was so proud of shooting that deer. But when he came in, like I remember sitting there, like I was talking to my father-in-law about like what we want to shoot, what we don't want to shoot. And I was just like, okay, do I like want to shoot this deer? And like I sat there and analyzed them for like quite a long time.
Yeah.
And finally, like after it felt like 20 minutes, it was probably more like 5 or 6 minutes or whatever. But he gave me a shot and I pulled back, dude, and I rocked him. And I did not get those jitters, like I said, until after the shot. Once I got to full draw on this buck this past year, oh my gosh, I lost my mind. I was like, he came walking in and I was like, okay, there's this patch of like trees and some brush right here that's maybe 35 yards. When he gets behind that, I'm going to draw. He's walking up the trail that I'm sitting on. So dude, draw perfect time. And I kind of just thought he was moving a little faster than what he was. And so I was like, oh my gosh, I got to put an arrow on him.
Yeah.
And dude, I just lost my mind for that 2 seconds and hit him in the shoulder. And he died, like I said. So, I mean, like, it wasn't a bad shot. Yeah. And I don't blame, like, everyone wants to go to the broadhead, like, after something like that happens. Like, oh, man, I'm shooting fixed blades and all this stuff. And I was
start making all these changes.
Yeah, all
like,
these
scrap
changes.
It, we're starting from scratch.
I don't want to do that. Granted, we probably have a little bit of a problem with our arrow setups changing stuff from year to year, but that's just we're trying to find something that works better, not because something happened with an animal. But it's funny. I see guys instantly like something like that happens. Oh, I'm going to fix blade.
Yeah,
and I didn't want to. I don't blame the broadhead.
Or even like just be like straight up just that broadhead. Clearly, it was just that specific
that broadhead.
I'm not shooting. I don't know what you're shooting, but I'm not shooting the sever anymore because I hit the shoulder. It's like, well, you also hit the shoulder.
Yeah, dude. Like, so I shot. It was Grim Reaper Whitetail Special, and dude, I've been shooting them the last few years.
Killed several deer with those.
Yeah, and they've like left some massive blood trails for me. Like I've always loved these broadheads, but dude, it's a 3-blade front deploying broadhead, and I hit in the shoulder. And dude, I got like a decent amount of penetration. Like in my mind, when I found the back half of my arrow and I'm comparing it to my other arrows, I'm like, dude, this deer's dead. Like there's no way he's not dead. And there was just some other, elements that were playing that were in play on why we didn't find that deer.
Yeah.
But I just had such a hard time believing that deer didn't die. And he did. We found him in March, March or April, one of the two. I don't know. But yeah, man. So this year, I am going to shoot the beast. Okay. And that's another reason why I want to go with the 5 mils, because I didn't get the deep 6. I got just like the normal broadheads. But
did you go cut on contact?
No, because when I bought them, the cut on contact was not. But I do have them saved. I do have them saved on my phone. So I'm thinking about snagging them. I for sure I think I'm going to shoot the cut on contacts when we go to South Dakota next year. But yeah. Well, that's if they make them in a deep 6, I guess. I think the only ones they make in a deep 6 for beasts are the original aluminums. So I guess I don't know.
We'll call Josh.
Yeah, we'll just get him up on the phone. Josh, you really need to make this a deep 6 right now.
For us, special order.
Yeah. Put ingredient on the ferrule and be sick.
Don't know. For the record, we do not know Josh. We are not associated with beasts. Be cool, but we're not. Well, that's awesome, dude. So for me, I've never done this before, but I mentioned, I think on a previous episode, I bought the paper tuner. I really think if I have time, that's the hard part, is like, we were talking about this yesterday. I already feel like I'm behind the 8 ball. Like, I feel like I'm running out of time already. It's July 11th. I feel like I'm running out of time. There's plenty. I just feel the pressure.
Yeah.
But I want to get my arrows in, bare shaft them through paper, kind of just like get the first one through, get it a bullet hole, tune the bow, get it bullet hole on the first bare shaft, and then take the rest and kind of just tune them to where they may not be a perfect bullet hole, but like some tight tolerances, tight tolerance, as close as I can get it. Then now that I have my, essentially index for the knock, fletch them, probably sticking with a 3 fletch. I've been liking the tack veins. I do have a load of AAE air razors. So I might just stick with the air razor 26 because I literally just bought a fresh pack.
Yeah.
I can't remember which tack, but a recent tack. So air razor 26 is probably what I'm going to run. I might go with, an Amazon lighted knock. Linping's worked well for me last year, and their standard is a 166.
Okay.
So I should be there. Don't need a bushing. Like I said, probably going to go with a 75 grain or 100 grain match grade half out up front. And then broadhead, man, I usually try to snag 2 broadheads to put in my quiver.
Mm-hmm.
The last few years I've been shooting the dead meats consistently. I might pony up and go mega meat.
Yeah.
Get a little bit bigger cut. I've blown through everything that I've shot with the dead meats.
Yeah.
And the reason I was going dead meats was for the penetration aspect. Smaller cut diameter, should be able to get, or should have less energy loss, I should say. That's essentially what it is. So you get more penetration. I've zipped through everything. So I'm thinking, go with the bigger cut, give myself even more margin of error. so that when I do inevitably freak out in my head over something, like you're talking about that, and I was thinking, when it happens fast for me, that's when I break down.
Yeah.
Like this year, that butt, like I rattled, that butt came flying in. I was not prepared I had full doubts that I was calling anything in. And so when he came literally like sprinting in, I was like, oh my gosh, what's happening? And then I had to like quickly get my bow and get around the tree to my weak side and get drawn. And yeah. So like for me, if it happens slow, like the first deer I ever shot, right? She came in, like, I mean, like just this big circuitous route to get in front of me. And I was watching her for, like you said, you felt like it was 20 minutes. I felt like it was 30 minutes. It was probably 5, maybe 10, right? Like she stood off grooming at like 35 yards for what felt like an eternity.
Yeah.
But then she came in and drew back. She's finally did it, finally notched the tag. But when I have a little bit of time, and I've heard other people like it's the opposite. Like if it happens fast, they don't have time to think about it.
Yeah.
And so it's just like draw back, pin on, shoot, it's over. Now I shake.
Yeah.
I'm the opposite. As soon as I get drawn back, if it's happening fast, like I'm like that's, and my mind just starts like, oh, you gotta get this arrow. You gotta get this arrow out. Like shoot.
Yeah.
If I have time to like watch it, be like, okay, they're going to get here. That's when I'm going to shoot them. They're at this distance. I can kind of like, I'm talking to myself already.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just continue to talk myself through that shot, even at full draw. Then it's time to freak out.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, it's funny because I think on it's one of the hunter podcasts. I don't know if it was this past episode or what episode it was, but they were talking about in the moment. Like,
yeah.
And
it was this past episode.
It was? Okay.
Because they made a very funny, I won't repeat the joke, but a very funny joke. Yeah. It was good, and it's very, very much so relatable.
Yeah, I know. I remember what you're talking about now. But I mean, no, like, but controlling your heartbeat, like, and just breathing and talking to yourself through the moment, I think that's huge. And I think when I'm almost there with you, I think, like, if I can watch it and I'm talking to myself, like I said, the buck a couple years ago, I was sitting there analyzing it, like, and I'm talking to myself in my mind, like, you know, is he what I think he is? Like, and all that stuff. And you're controlling your breathing, like, it just kind of, it keeps you that calm. And that's what gets you to, like, you shoot the deer. Then afterwards, it's like, okay, now you're excited. Job's done, basically.
Yeah.
Where
and that's shot IQ. That's essentially shot IQ, right? Like that's what Joel Turner talks about, is like not allowing the subconscious mind to take over. Right. And so like, if you're actually actively talking to yourself, maybe not audibly, but at least in your head, you're talking to yourself. That is you staying in the conscious mind. And he also says, like, I think it's thoughts are not thinking. Thoughts are passive. They just come.
Yeah.
Thinking is like, it's active. It's a conversation in your head. It's constantly just taking yourself through that loop so that you're staying in the moment.
Yeah.
And I have to do that.
Yeah.
I have to. Otherwise I fall apart.
Yeah. I'm there with you. And if it happens fast, like, I think, I mean, the more you're in that moment and the more we hunt and get those opportunities like that, the better we're going to become at it.
I was just going to say, it's going to happen a lot faster where you can, get back in the zone.
But I think I'm there with you. A deer like pops out in front of me and it's like, it's right there. And you're like, oh dude, I got 2 seconds to shoot this deer.
Yep.
I think that's the hardest moment to be like, okay, calm down. Like, he's not going anywhere. And realistically, dude, they're not typically in a rush, dude, unless they're on a doe. They're kind of just moseying through. Like, so if you can really just put yourself in that mindset to where you're like, okay, he's not going anywhere, grab the bow, move slow, draw back. Okay, here we go. Keep pulling.
Essentially, you have a lot more time than you think. You may not have all the time in the world, but you have more time than you think.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I've told this on the podcast before. That same day that I missed that buck last year, I've never heard much vocalization in the woods. Like, I remember the first time I actually heard vocalization, it was, I don't think it's a tending grunt, but basically, and it was a small, young, maybe a spike. It might have even been a button buck with his doe mama, like young buck. And he was kind of like trotting behind her, and every little step, that's the first vocalization I ever heard in the woods. I was like, oh, kind of cool. Like I didn't even know that they did that. Now I'm going to use that. He's quote unquote on a doe, like they're chasing.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's a chasing grunt. I think the tending grunt is what I heard this past year. I swear, I thought it was you or Luke messing with me. Like, I kid you not. Like, I knew Luke was kind of leaving early that day. I was like, he probably parked and walked back here just to mess with me before he goes home. Because literally I'm sitting there and just for what felt like at least a minute.
Yeah.
Nonstop for a minute, maybe more. And I was like, that's not a real. Like, that's 100% someone came back here to mess with me. And I turn around, no, there's a forky and there's 2 does that he's wanting to get with. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, I can't believe that was real, I don't remember where I was going with that story, but, like being able to keep yourself in that moment, like that's where I was going. You have more time than you think. 'Cause I turned around, like I slowly turned around, put eyes on that deer, right? And he was just like standing there staring at those does.
Yeah.
And one of the does took off and he watched it and then he looked back at the other doe. I grunted at him. He looked at me like, and he stayed in one spot for a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
You have more time than you think.
Yeah, for
And like,
sure.
I'm talking to myself. You have more time than you think. Don't rush it. Like, take your time. Talk to yourself. Talk through the shot. Talk through what's going on, because it's going to help out a ton.
Yeah, for sure. 100%.
Yeah. Well, we talked a little bit about Thule, and I just wanted to throw this out there because this is something for us, and this will kind of transition us into the word too, is like, I'll say it, we are not big buck killers.
The In Creation podcast is brought to you by First Form.
Hey, First Form, incredible products. I've been using them for a little over a year now personally. Started getting integrated with the First Form Outdoors team back in August or so. Just phenomenal products. The OptiGreens, the Formula One Clear, the Enduraformance. Been using them all. Incredible. Got to check them out.
Yeah, Form Energy and the Level 1 bars. Dude, I thought they tasted awesome. I still rock the First Form Energy, pretty consistently. So I thought they were great products. Funded our deer camp basically last year. So
he kept us going out in the woods. Well, hey, if you want to get your own First Form products, be sure to check out the link in the description below.
Right. I have yet to have a Pope and Young sitting on the wall. Like, yeah.
Yeah. In the last episode with JC, she was giving us a lot of credit. At some point, I think she called us big buck killers. And I made the joke of like, well, you killed decent bucks. And afterwards, I was thinking about it. I was like, that might come off as like, you kill decent bucks and I kill the big bucks. Let me just put on the record, I've never killed a buck. So I might be a big buck killer. It just hasn't come out yet. but you've killed some nice deer, some decent bucks. Last year's was, what did it score out at?
120.
120. Okay.
Or the one that I found, or the one that I shot a couple years ago?
Well, both. What was the couple years ago?
The one I shot a couple years ago is 120. Like, okay. He's 5.5-year-old deer. I sent the teeth in. The deer that I was chasing this past year measured out when I found the deadhead 131.
Okay.
I think.
So
it would have been my first typical Pope and Young. Yeah.
That would have been Pope and Young.
Yeah.
What, Pope and Young's 125?
125 typical.
Yeah. Okay. So like we're not slaying giants, right? Even prior to picking up a bow, I guess 5 years ago now, I had killed one deer and it was a button buck. And I hate it so much the way that it happened that I usually just say like I had never killed a deer before. We'll save that story for another time. But all that to say, like we're not these giant slayers, right?
Yeah.
We're passionate Michigan deer hunters, right? And so it's easy for me anyways to kind of get a little bit of that imposter syndrome. We're sitting here, we have this podcast. We're talking about archery and deer hunting with, for me, essentially little to no, call it accolades or like a resume of sorts, right? I've killed 4 does, a pig, an aoudad. So like I've got some skin in the game, but like nobody's gonna look at me and be like, oh man, I can't wait to be like Alex Spencer. Probably not, right? And so it's like, well, why do you have this? Why are you part of this podcast, right? And one, it's because you asked me if I would be a part of it, right? But it's also like we have a passion for bow hunting and archery, but even more so, we have a passion to spread the gospel of Jesus Christ. And what's been really cool is through this process with the podcast is we've made a lot of cool connections. I got to meet Bo. We got connected with him, had him on the podcast. We're now partnering with Kool-Aid, and they're founded on Christian principles. And before the podcast, like QAD, another one, I knew QAD had at least some faith-driven roots because I had seen like on Instagram, they have every week they post scripture on Sunday.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, I love that. Like, I'm going to support that brand because they're putting it out there. Right. And then we unbelievably blessed. And like, I was shocked and blown away when we were able to partner with them, when they decided like, yeah, well, we will partner with you guys. But then you got to chat a little bit with Chris Ham.
Yeah.
VP of like operations at HHA.
Yeah.
Right. And strong believer. I had an
awesome conversation with him, and he's
tell us a little bit about that conversation and like what they're doing and a couple other brands that you learned about. That are doing some awesome stuff.
He puts on a few shoots every year for vets and first responders, and basically like brings these people together to have community where you're around like-minded people, also like sharing the gospel with them, right? And so that's something awesome that he's doing, and he's really good friends with Aaron. I think his last name's Shear. I don't want to get this wrong, so let me just go. Aaron Shear from Center Shot Ministries. So basically, like Chris is talking to him, and he's all about sharing the gospel with these guys. Like, it's awesome. It was an awesome conversation to have with him, but he's also really good friends with Aaron Shearer, who is based out of the Green Bay area, and he has Center Shot. Basically, Matthews is it Matthews? It's the NAS program. I think it's NAS. Yeah.
National Archery and School Program.
Yeah. And so basically they were doing that, and Aaron was like, well, this is awesome. We got to figure out how to incorporate this with Christ, started Center Shot Ministries. And then that also transitioned to Center Shot Blue, which is geared to vets and first responders. And man, he's out there really bringing people in to archery because of the therapeutic side of it. Like that's one thing. Like, you shoot your bow, and at least this is how it is for me. This is why I love archery so much, just in general. When I'm shooting a shot and I'm going through my process, it's me and the target. Like, I'm going through my shot process. You're outside. Like, that's just such a calming thing. That's just how it is for me. And so he's using archery to bring these vets and first responders in, to have that community, to be able to share, the struggles that they're going through, from whatever they went through in their lives, but also centering it around Christ.
Yeah.
And they're partnered with Matthews. So Matthews joined in on that brand. The Genesis bows are, as what they use to get people started. And they're angling it really well with with shops who have archery ranges, because they're trying to, I think he said that Center Shot's goal is to have 1,000 like programs around the country for this year or something. I could be wrong, but I thought that's what he said. And he is like, but these shops that have these clubs, like where they start like either a 3D shoot or some sort of shoot once a week for these guys, for the local community, first responders or vets in the local community come in and shoot. Dude, it gets them hooked on archery too. So like, you might be using a Genesis bow. He was telling me a story. Guy was using a Genesis bow. They were shooting at whatever club. 2 weeks into it, he goes and buys Lift X. You know what I mean? So like the archery shop's going to benefit from it too. But also you're creating this community where these guys can come in and hear the gospel and find a like-minded crowd and be able to have those connections with other, men or women or whoever, so you hit the nail on the head, man. These companies it's cool to see that they're out there wanting to do what we want to do.
Yes.
They want to preach the gospel of Jesus Christ, and they're doing it with their brand, with their companies. There's a lot more people than what I would have thought that are out here trying to do it.
Exactly. And like, you've got QAD, who in their mission statement talks about doing it for the glory of God, right? You've got HHA, who's partnering with ministries to bring the gospel to
and
archery.
have their own HHA USA.
Yep. I know that Matthews, as kind of a brand, because we think of Matthews as bows. I don't know if you know this. Matthews also makes McPherson guitars.
No way.
Yes. So Matt McPherson, right? Owner, founder, creator of Matthews Archery. There's Matthews Archery. There's McPherson guitars. They make Genesis bows, don't they?
I think so. Yeah.
Look that up, Jamie. Look that up. I think they might make Genesis bows. I know they make Mission.
No, I think they do. You're saying Matthews, right?
Matthews makes Genesis.
Yeah, they do. That's what I was saying.
Okay, that's what I thought. So, we can't confuse Genesis with anything else other than the first book of the Bible.
Yeah.
Right. And they named the Genesis because it's the genesis of somebody's archery journey, right? That's like kind of a beginner's bow. But so you have them. They actually also, Matt McPherson specifically, he just released a movie. It was around Christmas this past year.
Yeah, it's the cartoon movie. Yeah,
the animated movie. Like a kids Christian movie. So they're heavily in the mission, in the gospel and in the word, moving things forward for the mission. And then you've got companies like Darton, based here in Michigan. They're literally putting Bible verses on the limbs of their bows. I've got a buddy. I say a buddy. He's technically he's a buddy because he was technically never an athlete of mine. He was an athlete at DBU, but I never coached him.
Okay.
He came out with me a couple of times to hunt at my buddy's place, and he was like, "Okay, yeah, I'm all in." Like, he wasn't sure if he was gonna be into hunting and specifically archery. After coming with me a couple of times, he was like, "Oh, I'm buying a bow. Like, I'm doing this."
Yeah.
And he went and had a budget. And he was able to get hooked up with a Darton sequel. I think that's one of the Darton bows. Either way, it's a Darton. He was like, the reason I chose it shot great. He was like, but then I saw the verse on the limb and I was like, boom, like sold. Like, that's what I'm buying.
Nice.
So like, you have these companies, and I love that they're putting it out there, right? They're vocal with it. They're public with it. 'Cause it's really easy in today's, society to kind of be like, yeah, I'm a Christian, but like, I don't want that to affect my business, so don't say anything.
Yeah.
Right? These guys are unapologetic, and I love it. And so we want to support companies like that.
Yeah.
Right? We want to keep moving that mission forward any way that we can, and the way that we help them do that is through our support. Right? So I'm excited to continue to learn about more companies doing exactly that. So if you know of a company, or if you own a company, like, reach out, because we want to know about that. We want to help support you.
Yeah, for sure.
And taking that, I started this out with kind of that imposter syndrome, right? Feeling like we don't have the resumes of big butt killers. We're doing this more to promote the gospel through our passion and through our interest in bow hunting and archery. And making these connections and helping to promote some of them the best we can. But that imposter syndrome, man, like, it creeps in, and it's super easy to get like discouraged, right? And we've talked a little bit about spiritual warfare. Matt Chandler talks a little bit about essentially men in the Bible, right?
Yeah.
We were kind of talking a little bit about that. And it got me thinking like, oh, we should definitely talk about this, because there's definitely a tie-in. And one, it starts with having your identity rooted in something that's just false, right? Like if we rooted our identity in being big buck killers, we would 100% succumb to that imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Because we're not, right? And so we're falling short of the identity that we've given ourselves. Whereas when we have our identity in Christ, I think at times it can come off as apathetic, not having a care in the world or nonchalant about something. But really, for me anyways, it's just like, I know what my identity is rooted in, and I know that there's really kind of like only a few things that actually matter in this life. And so everything else I can be like, whatever.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
So I didn't kill that buck. That's okay.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Because, and what it comes down to is you're putting your identity in something that's not going to fail. Like,
right.
And
exactly.
so if you're a big buck killer, or you just, even let's just say like a hunter in general, like you're just a hardcore deer hunter, that's what I am, and you just immerse yourself in that. What happens with, like me last year, I wounded that buck, I didn't find him.
Yep.
Then what?
Now what?
Yeah, exactly.
Or like, and we've talked to a couple athletes, right? When that season of athletics comes to an end and that's what you put your identity in, like you said, now what?
Yeah.
Like your world just crumbles to pieces and you're left trying to put it all back together.
Yeah.
Versus if you have your true identity in something that is solidified, the solid rock, the foundation of Christ,
Mm-hmm.
like it doesn't matter what else happens.
Yeah.
Right. But talking about figures in the Bible, right? I mean, obviously we can go all the way back to Adam, right? The dude was essentially a coward and a sluggard, right? His wife takes of the tree, and dude, it's wife takes of the tree. It says he was there with her,
yeah,
and was still just like, well, whatever. Like I don't want to say anything, you know.
I don't want to ruffle the feathers with my wife.
Instead of grabbing his courage and be like, hey, listen, hold on a second. Like God said, don't eat from this tree, right? But instead he sat back, and then as soon as it was offered, he was like, oh, all right. Like, I guess I'll take that too, right? But then I've read this 100 times, but somebody just recently pointed it out. God comes into the garden and he's like, why were you hiding? And Adam says, well, I was naked and I was afraid.
Yeah.
And God's like, who told you you're naked? And then he tells him a story like, well, you know, this happened and we ate of the fruit. And Adam immediately is like, if it wasn't for the woman that you gave me, this would have never happened. Like immediately puts the blame on God, like immediately shirks like all responsibility. Like this is not my fault, even though it's 100% his fault.
Yeah.
Right. And then we can move forward. Abraham, essentially a pathological liar, right? We see twice they go into Egypt and he tells his wife like, hey, you need to say that you're my sister or they're going to kill me so that they can take you because you're my wife. Does it twice, right? And like the first time, okay, you've got some fear. Like, hey, let's lie and say that you're my sister so that we can make it out of here. And I believe it was the first time Pharaoh actually takes his wife. And then God visits him, Pharaoh, that is, and tells him basically like, hey, this is that dude's wife. And if you do something, then I'm going to strike you down.
Yeah.
And Pharaoh goes back. He's like, how could you do this to me? They come back to Egypt a second time. And Abraham does the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Like, dude, you've already seen like God's on your side. He's going to get you through this. You know, we can fast forward again to, I mean, there's so many examples, but like probably the biggest one, we were just talking about this, David.
Yeah.
Right?
Man after God's own heart.
Man after God's own heart. Majority of the Psalms are written by this man, right? Like the dude was a dude, right? But it says that it was the time when kings went to war, and this is King David, king of all Israel. And where is he?
He's at home.
He's at home on the couch. At time when kings were going to war, he's at home on his couch. And he wanders up to the rooftop.
Yep.
And something catches his eye. And he's like, oh, that kind of looks good.
Yeah.
I think I want that. Commits adultery. Then doubles down on the adultery, when Bathsheba finds out she's pregnant with David's child, and he says, oh crap.
Yeah.
We need to put Uriah at the front lines today, because that's my best chance of having him killed. So the dude sleeps with this, commits adultery. First of all, he's a sluggard because he was supposed to be out on the battlefield, commits adultery, and then is basically like committing murder for hire.
Yeah.
Moving her husband to the front lines so that he can just be done with this whole situation and it's not a big deal. Right.
Mm-hmm.
But you also see him in the Psalms completely breaking down, right? I never realized this until not too long ago. Jesus is on the cross and he says, my God, why have you forsaken me? And I saw it in red letters and I was like, okay, those are Jesus's words.
Yeah.
And they are.
Yeah.
But he's quoting a Psalm from David
that
goes on to talk about God revealing himself again and having never left.
Yeah.
Right. But like David goes through these major like ups and downs. People are chasing after him, trying to take his life. And he's often like, God, why have you abandoned me? Like my enemies are after me. They're taking me over. Where are you? But then there's also Psalms of absolute praise and surrender. And so you see this closeness and it's easy to be like, oh, I want to be like David.
Yeah. Well,
you can be like David. You can be a man after God's own heart. Just understand it's not going to come in this perfect life. We are broken people in a broken world. And if we have our identity rooted in something that's false or temporary, it's going to fall apart.
Yeah.
And that's where you see David coming back time and time again to that true identity and be like, no, this is what I am. And also we can like David was a shepherd. And I think a lot of times we have this vision of shepherds because of stories in the Bible like David, where it's like shepherds must have been the baddest dudes. Maybe they were. But they were also essentially like low-level blue-collar workers.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm not saying anything bad about blue-collar workers, okay?
Yeah.
But like sheep were nasty. Essentially, let me put it this way. If Mike Rowe, Dirty Jobs, was around when David was a kid, he's going to David's farm to film an episode of Dirty Jobs. Like it's a nasty, dirty job. And these animals are stupid, dude.
No.
Like sheep are so dumb. And so you're constantly just chasing after them, trying to get them to go in the areas you want to go. Not only was he essentially like from a poor family, raising sheep, being a shepherd, he was also the smallest and youngest of his family.
Yeah.
Right. And God looked at him and through Samuel was like, you will be the king of Israel one day. And I'm sure he was sitting there like, this dude's high.
Yeah.
Like when David heard this, he's like, this guy's high. Like someone needs to check this guy out. Because like being the youngest in the family, the smallest in the family. And at the time, like truly, I think he was probably like young teens.
Yeah.
Right. But it's like, I think you got the wrong guy.
Yeah.
Right. But going back to what we were saying, like God does not call the equipped, he equips the called. And I know that's super cliche, but it's 100% true. And I've seen it time and time again in my own life.
Yeah.
Right. Like this job that I've got now, zero experience walking into the interview. None. Like day one, I think my boss was like maybe rethinking hiring me because we went to a location. He's like, okay, this is a wellhead. You probably know all this equipment. I'm like, no, I was immediately like, no, dude, I don't know what any of this stuff is. But like, it didn't matter.
Yeah.
I knew that, okay, if this was God's plan, I'm going to at least be moderately successful in some form, right? God's not going to lead me astray to like kick me down in the ditch so that he can glorify himself by being like, here, now I'll help you out.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's not the way God works. He might put you through, the fire and give you a little bit of testing.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be like, here, let me kick you down and then I can help you up. Right.
Yeah. I mean, I know I say a lot about Matt Chandler just because him and Philip Mitchell are the two dudes that I listen to most often besides for our local pastor in the church I go to, Wes. But like Matt talks about the coil, like you're moving forward, but it's up and down.
Exactly.
Like that's how life in the sanctification process is it's up and down. It's mountaintops and valleys, and it's like you're progressing forward, but it's not this high and right, like
it's not a straight
linear
growth.
Growth, man. It's there's hard times, and then there's times where things just couldn't be better, and that's just how it is. But as far as the imposter syndrome, I mean, dude, I think we all probably as Christians can feel that in a specific way. I mean, because there's only one man who is ever perfect, and that's Christ, right? So, and to a certain extent, I think there's always going to be this voice like that you're going to have to fight off, and that's like going back to the spiritual warfare thing. But it's like, are you equipped to do this? Are you equipped to even tell people about Christ? Like, look at how dirty your life is. Look at how terrible you are. Like, and you think you're equipped to do that? And I mean, I've gone through it with my own life, and I hear that voice too. And it's like, we have a Christian podcast, but then I kind of go to David, and then there's one other thing I go to. I go to David because like that's a man who at the same time he's saying, God, why have you abandoned me? But he's also praising him at the end of that, and God's still there, and he's you see what comes of it as he's staying faithful to the Lord. But also, man, it's like when the blind man is able to see again, when Jesus gives him his sight, and he's taken to the temple and questioned.
Yep.
He says, like, they're like, "Are you sure?" And they're hammering him with questions. He's like, "Look, all I know is that I couldn't see, and now I see."
Yep.
And so, like, as his testimony, that was it. It was like, I was once dead, and now I'm alive.
Yep.
Like, and it's all because of this man.
Yep.
And so, as much as we can hear that voice and kind of feel that a little bit of like, are you equipped to do this? Like, answer is probably not just me by myself.
Exactly.
I have Christ behind me. Yeah. Like he's what makes me equipped to do this. You know what I mean? He's the one that took me from being dead to alive.
Yep. Yep. And that's like, it's easy to get caught up in a lot of theological questions. And sometimes they're kind of fun to hash out.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Calvinists believe that we're all predestined.
Yeah.
Are we predestined? Is predestination a real thing? Do we have free will? In my mind, it doesn't really matter. Like, we can argue about it all day long.
Yeah.
Doesn't really matter. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Because the things that matter is God created the heavens and the earth. Yeah. He created man in his own image. Man fell to sin. And for the rest of time, we will succumb to sin. We will have sin in our lives. But through Christ, who God sent, his own son, to the earth, fully God, fully man, lived a perfect life, died a sinner's death, and was resurrected and defeated death. It's because of that I am now named an heir to his righteousness. I have done nothing to earn it. I can do nothing to deserve it.
Yeah.
Yet he's written me down in his book. Hey, this guy, he's an heir to my righteousness. He, like, we're talking about, walking into a job or something like that and having no skills in that job.
Yeah.
It's like, it made me think, if your dad was the CEO of a major corporation and one day he retires or moves on and names you the next CEO, having been a trust fund kid for however long, having everything handed to you, never worked a day in your life, and you step into that role, I bet it is terrifying.
Oh, yeah.
It's either extremely exciting because it's like, oh, now I'm going to make the big decisions, or it's like, holy crap, I have no idea what I'm doing.
Yeah.
It's like, it does. In our case, being Christ followers and sons of God, like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You yourself may be ill-equipped, but through the Holy Spirit whom Jesus sent, you are fully equipped for the job.
Yep.
Right. And like, those are the things that matter. All the other theological stuff can be thrown out the window.
Yeah.
I don't care about it.
Yeah.
Like, we can talk about it. We can have fun little debates. but it doesn't matter because those things are the staples. Like, you can't tell me that they're not. And if you do, then I'm just going to be like, then we need to have a much more fundamental conversation about what Christianity is and who Christ is.
Yeah.
But it's just, man, it makes life, I don't want to say easier, simpler.
Yeah,
it makes life so much simpler.
Yeah.
In that regard.
Yeah. And sometimes, man, it's like, even when you're battling stuff like that, when you're hearing those voices, dude, I'll pray to be like, hey, you know, God, let me feel your comfort, or let me feel your hand on XYZ. I mean, and I've done it with the podcast.
Yeah.
And dude, whether it's like messages that we receive, or like, you know, whatever it is, when I get those, or when we get those, and we get to read them, it's just like, okay, know what? His hand is on it, and I can just take some comfort in that and calm down a little bit, it just gives me that much more strength to fight off whatever it is that I'm hearing, you know what I mean, from the enemy.
Yeah, 100%, man.
Yeah.
I love it.
All right, well, that's what we have for the In Creation podcast, episode 19. So I hope y'all are getting out in creation.
Hey, remember, enjoy the creation, praise the creator. We'll see you next time.
Yep. Peace.